Welcome to So Many Whatnots. I'm Willow, and this is my series on the Farmer's Wife 1930s Sampler Quilt. Today we are going to be making a number 39 Katherine, and I have my fabrics all picked out. Aren't these adorable? All right, let's take a look in the book and see what we're working with today. It's a pretty simple one. And there's only, I think I counted like 15 seams. And we put it together as a 4-patch. So we'll be making 4 blocks. And there's like 3 seams per block, I think. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, I wanted to stick, I like to stick kind of with the colors. So, pinks will be pink and purple will be purple and cream will be cream. I use the cream instead of a print. It's a tone on tone. So let me put this on my book stand here and let's get started. Okay, so I am using all jelly roll strips for this one because they are smaller pieces and I don't need any bigger pieces of fabric to make them fit. And we only have 2. We have A and B. So let's start with our cream or print. And that's going to be light purple in the book. And so all we're going to need for that is a template A, and we're going to cut out 6 of these. Okay, so we'll do that and then I'll come back. All right, everybody. Now we are moving on to, let's see. Let's move on to the pink. And we are going to cut 2 of template A and 4 of template B. And then I am also going to do the purple at the same time, and we're going to do only 4 of template B. So on the pink, we're doing 2A, 4B, and then we'll do 4B on the purple also. So I'll get those traced and cut out, and then I'll be back. pieces cut out now. So I'm going to take them off the board and we are going to arrange them in the way we are going to sew them together. Okay, so I want to go like maybe block by block here. So let's start. So the opposite ones match, they're just turned a different way. So let's start with two of the pink. Yeah, it's like an orangey pink in the book. It's like a, I don't know, peach maybe. No, darker than that. Anyways, I'm using pink. So we're gonna start and put one in each corner, like so. And then we are going to take two of the cream and just lay that right on top of there. Just like that. Okay, because we're going to sew these together. And I always like to kind of overlap them if I know they're going to be sewn together. Like as a first step. Okay, and then we want to take two of the purple and do the same thing that we did with the top one, but leave a little space here. And then this one will go like that. Now with your cream or print, we're gonna overlay that to that purple also. So you should have two rectangles with a space in between. Okay, so that's going to be two of our 4 squares. So the next one, let's start with our cream and we're going to put that in the corner, top and bottom. Okay. And then we're going to take pink and make a rectangle out of that. I'm sorry, it's a little difficult to see my white cream. It's like white and cream. It's like white on cream on my board. Okay. Now we're going to take the pink template A, put it next to that, but leave a space again. And do the same up here. And then our last two, we'll make a rectangle out of that. Now, I'm going to double check in my book and make sure I have these correct. And a lot of people ask why I always trace on the front. If I didn't, this would be like backwards. Everything would be backwards. And so that's one of the reasons. The other is just so everything fits together properly in some of the blocks, which again, they would just be backwards. But yes, that's why I always trace on the front. And I did answer that in a Q&A one time on my Monday vlog. Anyways, let's get to sewing. So, I'm going to do all these rectangles at one time. We have 8 seams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's no reason not to just do them all at once. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my seam allowance on the back of the long side of every triangle. And then we're going to flip those over and just sew them right together like that. Easy peasy. Okay, so I'm going to trace all those and we'll sew them together and then I'll be back. Okay, we are halfway there. All right, so now we're just gonna sew these squares together. And so we'll just make a mark on one side. It doesn't matter which one. I'll probably go with the plain, not that side, this side. Probably go with the plain, you know, without seams, and mark those. I keep pointing to the wrong one. It's this one, not this one. We're going in the center here. Oh, I am having a morning. Okay. So, and then we'll just flip those up and sew those together, and then we'll have these squares. Okay, so we're going to do all 4 of those, and then we'll come back and put our block together. friends, we're almost finished, and I am just looking at my screen and my book to make sure I have everything in its right place, and it looks like it is. And so now we're going to sew these together. You can either do it like this or you can do top to bottom, but as usual, we're doing what is in the book. So we are going to go this way. I did want to make a quick note. Usually I talk about how I press things as I go, and I almost always press things open because it, brain power. It doesn't use any brain power to press everything open. But for this one, I figured it wouldn't matter. And so I just pressed them all to the little triangles. And I figured that would help quite a bit when I go to quilt this, because I am a hand quilter. And this fabric is not going to be fun to quilt because it is, when you have like white on white, cream on cream, these are just, they're harder to sew. It's tougher to get your needle through. I don't know if you saw that while I was sewing, but it is a little more difficult. So anyways, before I go off on a rabbit trail and make this video 3 hours long, we're at an hour right now. So I'm going to call this about an hour and a half block. Even though if you were using an iron or something, or, sewing a little faster, you could get this done in an hour. And it might take some people closer to 2 hours if you're a slower sewer. That's a tongue tie, slower sewer. So I'm kind of in the middle. I wouldn't call myself fast, but I wouldn't call myself really super slow either. So I'm going to say about an hour and a half, since we're at an hour, like just over an hour, like 2 minutes over an hour right now. Okay, so it doesn't matter which you mark on. Just mark one of these sides, flip them, sew them together. Okay, I will press those open just because of these seams right here and right here. Okay, after that, we're gonna mark these and sew those 2 seams, and then I'm gonna press those open. And then I'm not gonna come back and talk, but we're going to, these will be sewn together. We're going to make our mark across one of these and then flip that up and sew our block together. And then I will probably just wait and take that to the iron. I may press it open, I'm not sure, but I always give them a good press when I'm finished. And usually not when I'm finished. I do them like once a week. So I'll do them all, and then I throw them in a pile, and whatever I have at the end of the week, then I press them all. So I don't even do it like right when I'm finished here. And this is the first one I'm doing for this week, so it'll sit a while before I press it. So anyways, yeah, we're gonna make 3 seams. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll be finished. So I will be back shortly. in here real quick and tell you, do not line these seams up because this one is straight up and down and this one is on an angle. And so they're going to meet a 1/4 inch down, but they won't meet at the top. Okay, so they're going to meet where we sew it, but at the top they are not lined up. So don't line those seams up. Just make sure your piece is nice and straight, and it will come very close to being right. Hopefully it's right. Sometimes they're a little off, but usually I get them pretty good. So I just wanted to come on here and note that, you know, typically if your seams are perpendicular on both sides, you will, you know, match them up, but we do not want to match these up at the top. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I said I wouldn't talk, but I just want to show you, and it's very hard to see with this, the cream, but you can see how these match up right here, right at that point. And if we had lined those up on the other side, we would have had something totally different here. And then you can see on this one too, I did a pretty good job getting these lined up. This one's just a hair off, but I'm not even sure if you can see that on camera. You can see it ends like right over here, but it's so tiny you can't see very well. So yeah, so that's what happens when you don't line up ones that go like this. I'm just go like this because my brain is like totally shut off. Okay, now I need to make sure these are lined up properly again, and then we're gonna sew this together. So yeah, I said I wouldn't come back and talk, and I did. So let's get these sewn together. All right. finished. Yay! I think I am going to just press this real quick so that I can show it to you a little better. Just real quick, nothing big, just a little press open here. I did one that was just, I didn't, and it was really hard to show everybody because it was so poofy. Till you get them under an iron, they're really poofy. Alrighty, so this one's so super cute. I know I say that about everything. Let's see, I have it facing the wrong way. And without looking at the, let's see, without finding it in the book, I'm not sure if it'll get set in the quilt like this or this. I'm not sure. So we're just going to leave it right like that. And let's check the size. I have my nifty 6.5 inch ruler here. And it looks like we're just on that. Oh, I always have to move it over out from where my ring light is. All right, so 6.5 inches. Yep, we are good. And so the dark line is here, but we're actually looking at where they cross in the middle. So we do have that directly in the middle there. And so it looks really good. We did a good job. So this is one of our easier blocks. It looks a lot harder than it is in the book, but once you get it going, you see it's just making rectangles and squares. So here you go, guys. We'll see you back for the next one. Bye.